say yeah. Say it again, say yeah. Somebody say yeah for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You look good out there, baby. I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Look here. It's been too hard living, and I'm afraid to die. Look here. 'Cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long, I wish I could come out there where you are, baby. A long time coming, but I know, look at here, a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Look at here. Let me say one more thing. I go to the movie and I go downtown. But all I can hear is somebody keep telling me, oh boy, don't hang around. It's been a long. If anybody know what I'm talking about, let me see you wave your hand. I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. But I've got to take my time and say this, look. Then I go to my brother. Yes, sir. And I tell him, I said, brother, help me please. But he winds up knocking me. He knocks me back down on my. Somebody say yeah! I can last long, long. I know I'm able to carry on. It's been a long, good God Almighty, a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Look at here. One more time, look. But then I go to my brother. Somebody take your hand back and forth like this. Everybody. You sitting in the first balcony too. Help me, please. All over the auditorium tonight. All over the. Hallelujah. But he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. That's the times what I thought I couldn't last for long. No, I know, baby,
Diversity, the state of having people who are different races or who have different cultures in a group or organization. Our number one goal at the Smoking Glass Hour is to create diversity. We believe diverse conversations with diverse groups of people makes America better. Listen to our broadcast on Monday nights at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time and Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Diversity is the only way to go in 2015. And don't forget, tell a neighbor, tell a friend about the diversity on the Smoking Glass Hour. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Smoking Glass Hour with Bear and Glass. We are honored to have you as a guest tonight and want to thank each of you for your faithful support. Without further delay, allow me to introduce to you Mr. Baron Glass. Mr. Glass, take it away.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour Global Radio. It is 5:03 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I just moments ago completed my first 8 hours of the day. And it has been a long 8 hours. But regardless as to how long the day has been, when you are committed to justice, there comes a time when you have to squeeze everything into this day called 24 hours. And we still have to conquer some of these goals. And the goal today was to make sure that we address some issues that needs to be addressed. See, as long as we continue to play politics, as long as we continue to lose focus on what it is that we should be focused on, we're going to always have these problems. Recently, every time you turn around, there's somebody, specifically in my community, talking about this, talking about that, talking about what the kids are doing, what the kids aren't doing, all of those things that should be going on in the community right, they're going on wrong. Every time you turn on the television and you look at social media, mass media rather, and then you turn to your computer, you look at social media, and you see the same thing happening on the mass media, and you look over on social media and you see the same thing. My question is this. Today's topic is ReExamine Our Future. America must change. Now, who in America must change? You and I. Our philosophy cannot continue to be lazy, entitled, or whatever term you choose to call it. So when we look at some of these facts, today may be a little raw meat. Today may be a little red meat, because what I'm talking about today is coming strictly from me, from my heart. And it's time that those of us in leadership roles take that role and deal with it accordingly to the best of our ability. Now, we know that there are people who are trying to do some things, and there are people who are not doing anything. We also know that there are some people sitting back in a lazy boy recliner complaining about those, criticizing those who are out there trying to do their very best. But you see, when you're doing work called justice, the goal is to make sure that everything comes across as being right or comes across as being wrong. So we want to make sure that everybody understands that we should do the things that we need to do. So when we look at the way the system is, we must learn to work with that system. So first of all, I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, clergymen, if you are out there, minister, if you are out there, pastor, or whatever term you choose to be called, if you are out there, my fellow political colleagues, and those of you in any way, shape, form, or fashion connected to justice in this nation. Today, when we talk about today, okay, July the 7th in 2015, we know that you have a job. we know that we stand at the fork in the road. We have to come to a turning point. True enough, history is replete with turning points, but give the unique African American experience that we have in this country. Our sequels and our spin-offs and our offshoots hit a little closer to home each and every day that we turn on the television. Each and every day we look within our own community. We know that things touch our hearts and they follow us in some kind of way, shape, form, or fashion. We know that the things that comes a little closer to our home touch the hearts of all of us in a way that no other group in this nation could dare to claim. I say this because it is no secret that the eternal vigilance is the price of freedom. That sentiment is uppermost in the American psyche when it comes to our national sovereignty. But unfortunately, you see, it has been foisted on the African American psyche in matters domestically. We have been, for a long time, a strange people in a strange place. And therefore, we have been fashioned into ticking reactionaries because of the pressing need to maintain a stance of eternal vigilance against many of our countermates. Would that the laws of the land of America, would that the compassion of the ruling elite in America extend fully to the African American citizen? Would that we could partake of the all men are created equal? Other groups have embedded themselves on, but the answer is we don't know. No other group in America has lived our story, feels our pain. No group has ever stood in the shoes of the African American. No group has the vanguard stance that we have when it comes to eternal vision. But as a dedicated soldier in the fight for what is just and right, I say to you today, now as we set our sights on a new deconstruction of ideas, no agenda can be based solely on legislation. No changing political fortune, no cynical social dynamic, and certainly no pendulous demography would deter me, I'm talking about me, from engaging in activities that will render social, political, and economic equality to my people and to all Americans in this country. Many of you who are listening live right now, many of you who will go back and listen to the archives, we are here due in part to the insistence on freedom and the struggle due to 50 years of vigilance that came from the founders and promulgators of our people and the like. Deconstruction is now a reality, and today affirmative action is quickly becoming a dinosaur. If we notice the most recent case ruling by the Supreme Court with a 5-4 decision, which now says that marriage equality is the law of the land. Now, when we look at the political winds of change have blown against a policy we once took for granted. There are cries of color blindness in America's heartland and boast of level fields of equal opportunity. Yet, at the same time, the unemployment rate for African Americans remain about twice that of our counterparts. At the same time, the federal government has received more than 90,000 complaints of unemployment and employment discrimination based on race, ethnicity, and gender as short as 2 years ago. And hate crimes, all you got to do is look at the television. And hate crimes, all you got to do is look at social media. And hate crimes and violence are still ugly realities in the lives of many Americans. I, as well as you, we are not an aggrieved minority crying over spilled milk. We are American citizens demanding full and equal opportunity as put forth in the coded bodies of social and legal philosophy. The spirit of the law, let alone the actual law, upon which this nation was founded, that is self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Unfortunately, though, throughout the course of our nation's very short history, we have had to rely on the government and ancillary tentacles of government to make those aforementioned sentiments and lofty ideals a reality in many lives of the American citizen, of the average American citizen. Doesn't evidence exist in this day that convince you that there is a fact, a need for regulation of equal, level, fair distribution of the American pie? That's my charge to you today. I personally will work for that for all of God's people. Not just some, but all of God's people. In these days of community, first sentiment, it is incumbent upon the African American leadership to push for a re-examination of the national debate on real issues. Now, we're not talking about all of this stuff that has no merit. We're talking about real issues. We're talking about being at the table talking about real issues. Now, if I have to define for you what a real issue is, then we're all lost. Because what's real to you may not be real to me. What's real in your neighborhood may be totally different than somebody else's neighborhood. So when we look at these real issues, at the same time, and as equally important, those of us in position of leadership and those of us manning prestigious roles must do what we can to stack the political chips in our favor. And when I say our, I'm not talking about color. I'm talking about all of those who are in the same class according to how America defines you in a class. We must do what we can to make the law of the land applicable to every citizen, whether they're rich or poor, whether they are black or white, whether they are Catholic or Baptist, and all other dichotomous entities richly strewn about this nation. Two passages come to my mind from the Bible, and they are from Galatians chapter 6, verse 7 and 9. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he reap. And let us be not weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. I say to you today, the listener, the audience that's out there, I say it loud and I say it clear. I personally am not weary, but I just can't afford to be weary at all. I rest assured that there is no labor without profit. Let us take the hard-earned tender bequeathed to us by our forebears, who ever on the cups of better days held forth during their long wait for dawn. Let us take their tender bequeathed to us from our forefathers of the political field as one example and run with it, full of knowledge that, again, God is not mocked. So if you live in a community, you have a commission to tell the truth. You have a commission to get up out of your lazy boy chair. You have a commission to continue to carry on the legacy of those who came before you. If you look at Justice Thurgood Marshall, if you look at Brother Malcolm X, if you look at Brother Martin King, Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, if you look at all of those individual pioneers who came before us, their struggle was totally different than ours. Even though it may be in a sense covert, there's nothing new under the sun. So when America was being parceled out, African Americans, like Native Americans, were able to do a lot of things. But now we were also unable to race across the country, drunk with manifest destiny, and snatch up vast plots of land. Land grabs that. Okay, because we know in some quarters today, land still makes great wealth. We all know that. We're talking mineral rights. We're talking timber rights. We're talking grazing and agriculture production. We're talking about rent. We're talking about tracts of land being utilized for other things like wealth building. Those things incumbent upon land ownership. The sad truth is that America, in all its beauty, is still in many ways a legality born of an illegality. We're not talking the concept of bastardization, okay, or the notion of America rising up from humble beginnings such as the birth of Jesus Christ. We're talking about the weight of a predominant culture nullifying life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for others. So who am I talking about? I'm talking about those who never get liberty and justice for all. I'm talking about that little man that's on the pole who can never receive adequate representation. I'm talking about that little man who's always going to the door and find the door closed on him because he, in a sense, is considered to be that little man. It befuddles me, people. It befuddles me that the majority in this country, America's ruling as defined by the voting booth, really don't get it. I mean, it's very simple. In creating opportunities, in empowering those who far too long have been powerless, we allow the act of self-determination that defined our great nation. Sadly put, because of the lack of opportunity, because of the lack of wholesale self-determination, many lives have gone astray. Many lives will continue to go astray. So my question is this: what are you willing to do to prevent a life from going astray? Gone contrary to the rules. Gone contrary to the rules and regulation of the marketplace and the rule of law in America. To correct this, to bring all Americans back into the fold, to bring us all to fruition, we must have equal access to opportunity, my friends. At the very least, we must be ensured the chance to compete unfettered. This lends to domestic tranquility and a healthy, vibrant citizenry. And of course, with self-actualized citizens, we, you, I, we enhance our nation. We make our streets safer. We foster the values that define true America. E pluribus unum, out of many becomes one. The question is, will we ever become that one nation under God? The question is, was this country founded on religion, Christianity? And if so, why are we going so far away from Christianity? Why are we going so far away from those things that used to matter most to us? In short, there's nothing more American than affirmative action. Spreading the dream is affirmative action. Spreading opportunity to others is affirmative action. It's what we Americans are all about. Or let me say, we are supposed to be about. What's with the destruction of the national safety net, such as we've seen in recent years, such as we've seen in recent months? Let's bring it on closer, such as we've seen in recent days. What options does the largest society have but empower all the people? And if you don't empower all the people, it's unfolding right before your eyes. Yes, that sounds so bad. But before our very eyes, the rules have changed. As a result of the most recent Supreme Court decision, the rules have now changed. When we look back, we know that the Supreme Court decision in the Adirondack Construction Incorporated versus Pena, the following directive was issued to federal agencies. Any affirmative action program that, one, creates quotas, two, creates preferences for unqualified individuals, there 3, when we look at, creates reverse discrimination. And 4, continues even after its purpose have been achieved, must be eliminated. Yes, that is a heavy blow. I can concur that might be a heavy blow. But when we look at the Adirondack case, it raised the standards of remedies for affirmative action programs. The court determined that under the equal protection component of the Fifth Amendment, the program must be reviewed using strict scrutiny. If the programs can be found to meet a compelling governmental interest and in a narrowly tailored to meet that interest, it will not be violative of the Fifth Amendment. Now, some of you may be saying, whew, a heavy blow. That's the moral of the story. Those in power make the rules. Those in power may be turning away from the core values of this country. That's why it's incumbent upon you to get out there and get among those who are making these decisions. The future of affirmative action is simple. It is non-negotiable for those who need it. The voting booth is our best affirmative action. And with people like you and I, molding and shaping the political and legal thinkers and doers to interpret what we know is right, legislate and execute the law, guess what, my friends? We can make simple opportunity the rule of law. Yes, I said we can make simple opportunity the rule of law. Now, we know that when we go abroad, foreign observers use to chuckle. They used to chuckle at the very distinctively American political rhetoric of exceptionalism. The assertion of our God granted preeminence and predestination. But beneath all of that laughter, there was usually grudging respect and even envy for a country whose citizens were so ready to express such national pride. Where did that national pride go? Now, such language, it is often open derided. Let's face it, people. Even with all of the problems that Europe is having and everywhere else around the country, the American lantern is not as brightly inviting as it used to be. The question I'm talking about today is re-examining our future. America must change, because if you keep doing what you've always done, you will always get what you've always got. That's it. That's self-explanatory. And I don't mean just literally inviting, as in inviting to immigrants, though that in itself is a huge problem, and we know that that has been addressed. One that contributes to the general perception of a country's closing is self-interest. When Americans used to travel abroad, they are often surprised at how well other countries do the things we used to think America does best. In fact, one reason so many American businesses still lead the world is because they benchmark the competition and emulate best practices. But suggest that idea that I gave you, suggest that to an American politician, that we should try to learn from other countries, guess what? He will look at you like you are from Mars, like you are from Venus, like you are from Jupiter. It is somehow unpatriotic even to raise such comparison. My question today, we need to re-examine our future. America, you must change. We're going to take a short pause and we'll be right back.
Was rolling in my car when I pulled up at the mall. Couldn't find a place to park. Threw my keys to the valet. Handle it for me. I was only there to hang, wasn't looking for a thing. I was just about to bounce, and then I saw Miss Lady. Then I said to myself, She was coming up the shoe store, pretty little thing, a couple of bags in her hand, right in front of Macy's. That's where the pretty girls hang. Then I saw her at the food court, sipping lemonade, conversating on her cell phone, looking so amazing. And I said to myself, there she goes, there she goes, there she goes, yeah. Oh, well, 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 destiny only is one for me. There go my baby, there go my lady. Oh, she gon' be the one. We gon' fall in love. We're gonna have some babies, babies, babies. She gon' wear my ring. She gon' take my name. Take her to the cookout. Yeah, her gon' hang. Take her to my mama's house. If she need a hair done, see my cousin can. I'll treat her like a queen, give her everything. She will be my girl till we old and gray. And I knew it from the moment that I saw her lovely, lovely. Yes, I did. Oh, I. My destiny. Only one for me. There she goes. Look at her. Look at her. Look at her. She gon' be the one. She gon' be the one. Fall in love. Have some babies. There she goes. There she goes. Here she comes. Here she comes. Here she comes. Here she comes my way. That's what you want of me. My destiny, my destiny, my destiny, yeah. Ooh, she gon' be the one. I love it when you smile. I love it when you walk. And when you talk to me, it makes me so crazy, crazy, crazy. It's blowing my mind that you give me some of your time.
Our ministry at the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass is not counting people in the pews or dollars in the plate. It's helping to make a difference, one person at a time. Join us on Spreaker.com or thesmokingglasshour.com. We are on the move in 2015. And by the way, don't forget to follow and like us on Spreaker.com. We are back broadcasting live with the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour global radio. Today's topic, ReExamine Our Future. America must change. Imagine if a politician were to say, France has a better healthcare system than we do. I can almost guarantee that politician would suffer electoral defeat. Even though the statement in most objective respects is true. The U.S. is far too many the only country that matters. Experiences anywhere else are irrelevant. Remember, we have many members of Congress who boast they have no passport. And it is that stinking thinking that I'm talking about. We must re-examine our future. America must change. Stinking thinking will not work in the 21st century. If a politician is afraid to speak the truth because he or she is afraid of being elected, then where are we at? Where are we going? Where can we go? If you can't go up, the only way you can go is down. At a time when many trend lines in the U.S. point to relative decline in this regard, one actually brings hope. More and more young Americans go abroad for some of their education. Now, if we look at previous years, about 250,000 studied in another country. A decade ago, the number was about half that. The question we're talking about, the topic we're talking about, re-examine our future. America must change. Value will come not just from greater global consciousness, but from the direct experience that many nations simply do many things far better than we do as America. Are we so arrogant to where we're blind to where we see that we are not the greatest thing since sliced bread. We are not the greatest because God gives everybody the ability. God don't just bless those in America. God blesses the entire world. But you see, if we have stinking thinking going on, we're going to get stinking thinking results. We're going to get policies that directly contradict what I believe is the sound word, the sound doctrine of what God said. Now, when we look at new statistical evidence of things that appear almost weekly, when it comes to student performances in mathematics, for instance, we are now 25th among the 34 advanced economics, and behind many developing countries as well. So, America, do we need to continue to move forward, or do we re-examine our future and realize that America must change? When we look at college attendance, our previous preeminence has long faded. We are now 9th in percentage of younger workers with a 2-year or 4-year degree. And we are now 12th in college graduation rate. In health, we are 37th in infant mortality and equally low in life expectancy. In environmental performance, we are 61st. In the percentage of people below the poverty line, we are 21st. So America, should we re-examine our future and say that America must change? Or should we continue to go down the same road and say, okay, I want to take back my country? Well, what gives you this country? What do you mean when you say this is my country? Please explain that when you say it, because when you say that it's my country, to my understanding, the Indians were here before this country was even developed. So here we are. Even when it comes to the pursuit of happiness, enshrined in our Declaration of Independence as one of the noble goals of government, our citizens are only the 15th most satisfied with their life. So you may not want to hear the truth, but I am commissioned to tell the truth even when that truth applies to me. But many of our political leaders, rather than asking what we can learn from the countries that have surpassed us in various ways, we choose instead to win applause with unqualified boast of our inherent greatness. We imply that the answers to our problems are to be found not just by closing our borders, but to immigrants, but to foreign ideals as well. The countries that are making great strides follow quite a different path. Some of them are autocracies. Their leaders want to know which countries do the best job teaching elementary education or high school science and how. Which countries best prepare their people for tomorrow's jobs and how. Which countries best protect consumers while maintaining business vitality and how. Which countries best reduce their dependence on fossil fuels and how. Guess what, America? They benchmark against the leaders, just like the strongest American business should be doing. So when we talk about today's topic, today's title, Re-Examine Our Future, America must change. Sadly and shockingly given where the U.S. used to stand in most rankings, few of the best practices foreign leaders want to emulate are any longer in the U.S. The question is, do we continue to go and fall off the cliff? Do we continue to allow the blind lead the blind? Or do we wake up to our young Americans who see this country from different shores, can't help but conclude that something is awry in a political culture that denies what they plainly see elsewhere? When we look at the healthcare system that provides better outcomes at lower costs, and guess what? For everyone, better airports, faster trains, more extensive urban public transportation, and yes, even amazingly, better highways, more upward mobility, and yes, the American dream is now more real in many other countries than it is here in these United States. More sustainable energy policies, elections that work more quickly and inexpensively, with more rational discourse and greater citizen participation. The list is long, It's long and it's long. And I can go on and on and on. Now, it's sad to say that Americans' dream is now more real in many other countries than it is here. But you know and you see, when you are commissioned to tell a neighbor, tell a friend what the truth is, you have to do it. So you don't have to listen. I don't have to listen. But my point is that we can't say that we were not told. These young Americans that I speak of usually return with an openness about the world that many of their parents lack because they didn't have the chance. No less patriotic than when they left. They see how curiosity about other ways to do things can only make us a stronger country. They were taught, as we were all taught, that the U.S. was built to greatness on ideals borrowed by the rest of the world and improved here. That is what we must do again. We don't celebrate a flag that is divisive. We don't celebrate and make excuses when the flag was even flying in 1960, 61, and then we say it's about our heritage. Well, heritage is very important. It's very important to preserve. And I am a believer that all history should be preserved regardless as to how complicated it may be. But when you talk about division, when you refuse to see what the truth is, then you are delusional and in denial. Consider some of the things that have fueled the American lantern of attraction for more than 2 centuries. We're talking about 200 years. Perhaps more than anything else, it has been the American dream, the universal desire of all parents that their children will lead lives better than their own. This dream was given an American name, and not just an American dictionary. But that dream today is fastly dying out, and it can't be resurrected if talented people sit on the political sidelines or don't attend a game at all to play. When we look at Rasmussen poll, only 17% of Americans believe our national government possess the consent of the governed. The numbers may not seem shocking because they've been low for some period of time. Now, when we look back in 1964, the Pew poll found that 77% of Americans expected their government to do the right thing most of the time. So the American people think our democracy doesn't work. But there are also many objective signs that it's failing. One is that Americans don't vote as much as citizens of most other countries. Yes, America, take the kick in the stomach, including developing countries. In 2010, when we look back, only 37.5% voted in congressional elections. There are signs that young people are voting less than they used to. And we asked the question, why? As Rock to Vote found in a 2010 poll, which was very simple, because they think it doesn't matter who wins, that no real change is possible. They think the power of special interests is simply too great. And guess what, my friend? They are absolutely right. Namely, Citizens United. Namely, the Koch brothers. And if there's anybody on the Democratic side, the independent side that's doing all of this stuff, I call them out. I name them too. So we're not picking and choosing Republican or Democrat. We're talking about hardcore American facts. One of the strongest indications of American democratic dysfunction is the pervasive and expanding poverty. It is not just its existence in the richest country on earth that is shameful, but its utter absence from political discourse. Most of the poor don't vote, and I wonder why. They have largely given up on hope, and I wonder why. And what national politician talks about poverty? Can you name me any of them? And if they're talking about it, what are they doing? Are they just talking the talk? Or are they just walking? Name me one. The richest country in the world now has the highest rate of child poverty in the developed world. The U.S. has gone from being relatively large to one of the most unequal countries in this world. America is moving toward the kind of society we used to deride in banana republic. Rich getting richer in gated communities, while the poor grow poorer. barely seen in segregated urban ghettos and hidden rural decay. Now, over 220 million Americans live in extreme poverty. 1 in 50 Americans' only income is food stamps. Add the poor and the near poor, that is under $44,000 for a family of 4, and you have more, guess what, than 100 million people. So yes, re-examine our future. America, you must change. And mobility for the poor to the middle class is not even open to anyone of talent and ambition as it once was. So we wonder, why are we failing? Demographers and sociologists all agree on this. Americans now have less upward mobility, and those born privileged have less downward mobility than in many of the formerly the countries that our ancestors fled from. These, my people, are just a few signs that American government is broken. So why is it so broken? Let's consider the matter of money. We know that in 1974, the total spent by all candidates, the House and Senate was about $77 million. In 2010, it was about $1.8 billion. Members of Congress spent up to 7% of their time raising money, which means you elected them for 100% of the time, but you're only getting 30%. I don't understand. If you own a business and you're only getting 7% out of your employee, you fire them, but you steady elect people over and over and over. Something to me is not adding up. In the same year, 3% of retiring congressmen became lobbyists. Now it's 50% of senators and 42% of House members. Critics from the left and the right, and I'm calling all of you, critics from the left and right and middle alike call our political finance system one of a legalized bribery. So America, are we willing to re-examine our future and decide that America must change? See, when we look at things and we add to the mix the effect of the Supreme Court's decision in Citizens United and the spread of unaccountable super PACs and anonymous donors, and it can be no surprise that public cynicism is at an all-time high. Newt Gingrich's campaign back in the day was kept alive long after the people declared it dead by one billionaire gambling individual. In any close election today in 2015, a single individual, a lone crackpot can even enough to defeat someone. And add to that, worse, they do this mainly with negative ads. And we buy into negative ads, and negative ads, they do work. And they also turn off moderates and independents such as you and I, further eroding confidence in our system called government. The media, we're talking about the mass media, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, all of those. The media also complicates in this dysfunction. Not only has the kind of responsible journalism that once characterized much of the American press not yet found a new way and a sustainable model of profitability, but when we look at political dysfunctions, it's profitable for the irresponsible press. The shock jock and the vitriol slingers, yes, the internet and the bloggers can be wonderful alternatives. That's why you have the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD. Yes, please support us. But they also facilitate pre-filtered news and can spread outrageous falsehood. Yes, that can happen. And I hope that we never fall into that category. Our Constitution also contributes to this problem. The U.S. Constitution was one of the great political accomplishments of all time. But that doesn't mean all parts of it, especially the compromises that dictated by parochial 18th century concerns, remain great provisions for all time. Our checks and balances, our separation of powers, our federal and state division, all of these contribute to the gridlock that characterize U.S. governments today. Nothing important can be done. When we have the Senate Majority Leader says that compromise is an evil word, it's a bad word. When we look at the word liberal or conservative as being evil words, we fall into this pattern of disgrace. We don't even discuss aspects of our governance that appear glaringly undemocratic from foreign shores. Just one major example I'll give you. When we look at California's 37 million people that have the same representation as Wyoming, which is 560,000, that particular problem is ongoing to get worse given the U.S. demographic trends. The Senate could end up as democratically unrepresented as Britain was in the House of Lords before the reform. When you add to the list that our presidents are elected by the Electoral College and not a popular vote, a result of that is the presidential campaigns are seriously fought in minority of the states. This is all crazy. The combination of our constitutional scheme and the role of money make action on critical issues that are so difficult. The rich private interests have many ways to block change. This is why healthcare reform was so modest in the first place. That is why there were no public options. That is why climate change legislation is now near impossible. That is why the U.S. is alone in the world in its inability to regulate, guess what? Guns. We didn't say take away guns. We say regulate guns. That is why basic financial reform cannot be enacted. Enough of all of this. My point is not to depress anybody. It is to express my hope that as a young American leader, that we study and live away from their homes and go away in their countries. Okay, they will give serious attention to what they see around them and engage politically when they get home. I am not suggesting that all of them should run for office or to choose work in the public sector. But I am urging all of you to get as deeply involved as you can. For those who do not go into politics, and for those who do go into politics, and I hope that some will go with their eyes open and their values firm. For American politics today is ugly. There is too much preeminence to the rich and often to the ignorant, narrow-minded and prejudiced, while there are few rewards for dedication to the depossessed. Public governments needs extraordinary talent, reach, ambition, and problem-solving skills. Much of the work the next generation faces will be frustrating. But if we stick to it, the personal satisfaction we will gain and the lantern of democracy that we help to reignite will surely compensate for the pain and slog of getting there. We're talking today about re-examine our future. America must change. Now, we know that change is hard. We're going to take a short pause with some Gladys Knight. Neither one of us want to be the first to say goodbye. And my implication is that neither one of us want to be the first to acknowledge and recognize that we are not as great as we could be. We are not as broad as we should be. We have not moved forward as fast as we should. So when we look at the history of this country, be mindful that God is not mocked. Be mindful that we cannot fool the God and Savior Jesus Christ. We cannot make laws that are contrary to the Bible and say that we are founded on Christianity. But before we get off into that, please take a short moment and listen to some Gladys Knight and the Pips. Neither one of us want to be the first to say goodbye. I'll be right back.
To the point
You know, people always ask me why I do what I do. It was the teaching of my mother who taught me how to be strong and never waver when it comes to what I believe in as a man. She taught me that if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Here at WMAD Radio, the goal is to stand for something and make a difference in the world while I still have that chance. Thanks to my mother for all she has done for me. Join the WMAD team where we can make a difference in the world today. We are back broadcasting live with the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour global radio. Want to send a shout out to Mr. Wendell Thomas traveling through from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, interstate transporting, one of the 18-wheeler drivers that's out there listening. Also want to say a good shout out to my friend Wendell Fagans out there who is working for Kansas City Railroad, if I'm not mistaken. Thanks for listening in, and all of those others that are out there tuning in. Today we're talking about re-examining our future. America must change. And as I said before, we are American citizens demanding full and equal opportunity as put forth in the codified bodies of social and legal philosophy, the spirit of the law, let alone the actual law itself, upon which this nation was founded, that is self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You can never give life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness if you're on the other side of the waters trying to take it away. You can't do any of this if you're being divisive. You can't do any of this if you continue to adopt divisive policy. You can't do any of this when you try to stem those who want to go out and vote, those who should be out and vote. And I'm sorry about that, Wendell. I know I got it wrong, but Union Pacific Railroad charged to my head and not my heart. But at least I wanted to acknowledge that you're out there listening to the broadcast. I know we have some out there in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Houston, Texas, Atlanta, North Carolina, South Carolina. If you don't mind, you can check me out in 1 minute over in South Carolina at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Jam Vibe Radio. I'll be broadcasting there at 7 o'clock. You can also catch Pastor A.F. Riggins, senior pastor, founder, Real Life Church out of Houston, Texas. He'll be broadcasting right here, same station, www.thesmokingglasshour.com at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. Real people, real life, real answer. So if you hadn't had the word, if you have not received, rather, the word for this week, tune in to Pastor Riggins as he get ready and prepare for his word. Now, of course, as I stated, I have been 100% occupied today. I have not had a chance to eat at all. And I'm looking at some honey roasted peanuts at this very moment. And they are looking good to me. As soon as I leave this broadcast, I have to go and fulfill my public obligation as an elected official for a meeting within less than 30 minutes. When I finish that, I have to come back and moderate, hopefully, senior pastor, founder, Real Life Church out of Houston, Texas, Pastor Riggins show. So here's the deal. I'm not just talking the talk. I'm walking the walk. So Wendell, if you out there listening, make sure that you tell all of those individuals who have posted today on their Facebook page that they have the opportunity to come talk live in color and on the Smoking Glass Hour about the topic of their concern with the neighborhood being taken over by young adolescent juveniles who are patrolling the road. As a matter of fact, it is my understanding that one lady called the police and she was actually handcuffed. I'm not real sure all of the specifics, but I plan to find out. Now, I titled or coined a meeting for tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock at the ballpark. So if you want to just do more than talk the talk, meet me there so we can walk the walk. Now, you can catch us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Google+, Word+. You can catch us on iTunes. You can catch us on your podcast. If you go to my page, the fan page, you will see exactly how. You can put the podcast link in your phone. And guess what? You can be anywhere on this globe, and you can still be listening live to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass, because our message is clear. We aim to make a difference. And we are making a difference. There's one listener out there. You know what I like most about this system? Your message is reaching far and wide. Well, guess what? It's not just my message. It's our message. It's those who want to make a difference. It's over. I got my buddy, good college buddy out there, Chad Lowe. I'm listening, buddy, but you need to put some ice on that hand from hitting that table. Good show, brother. Well, Chad, you know me. My goal is to try to put the truth out. And again, if I'm doing wrong, if I'm falling short, that same truth that I'm talking about now, it applies to me as a leader. If I'm not doing the things that I need to be doing, guess what? This message is for me. If I'm out there sinning, guess what? The sins that I'm talking about, they apply to me. No one is excluded. Chad, I want to thank you. I know that you always tune in when you get a chance. Chad played football for the University of Louisiana at Monroe. If I'm not mistaken, he may have been on that championship game. I want to thank these guys for sending in, because guess what? They could be doing something else other than listening to me try to convey a message. But again, it's not my message. It's our message. Let's use our Facebook page to promote positive things. If there are some things that are wrong, let's contest that. But let's allow decency and order to when we address other people. Now, what I'm learning to do is monitor my page closely. I'm trying not to engage in those people who I know have totally different directions than I do. If they are for division, I don't need to talk with them, because I am for unity. Oil and water does not mix. God and the devil does not mix, with the exception that God has all power. The devil has some power. Now, we are talking today about re-examine our future. America, guess what? You must change, because if you keep doing what you've always done, you will always get what you always got. Now, you've been listening to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour global radio. I'm going to close this out with some Marvin Gaye, What's Going On. You can ask yourself, what is going on? Every time you turn on the television, somebody's getting killed. It used to be when somebody was getting killed, they was in another part of this country. Nowadays, it's somebody that you know. They're dying young, my friends. They are dying old. They're dying in between. So we better make an attempt to get our hearts right. We can't control what the next man is doing, but we surely control what it is that we're doing. So I want to say once again, thanks to all of these guys who have listened in to this broadcast, because guess what? They say that black men are not going to church. They say that black men are not taking care of their kids. Well, guess what? I can name, for every one black man that you say is not doing the right thing, I can name you two of them that's doing the right thing. I have many of them. Chad is a professional. Wendell is a professional. The other Wendell is a professional. Aaron Hopkins, Corey Jackson, Pastor A.F. Riggins. I can go on and on and on. If you have not walked in the shoes of another person, sweep around your own front door before you try to sweep around somebody else. Here we go. Marvin Gaye, What's Going On?
Mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, there's far too many of you dying. You know we've got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Yeah. Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Oh, picket lines, picket signs, don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me so you can see what's going on. What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? Oh, what's going on? 'cause our hair is long. Oh, you know we've got to find a way. Bring some understanding here today. Oh, oh, oh. Pick it loud and pick it sound. Don't punish me with brutality. Come on, talk to me. You can see what's going on. Yeah, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. I'll tell you what's going on. Ooh. Right on. Right on. Right on.
If you are looking for some good music to listen to while on the job, while driving, or simply want to relax, move on over to thesmokingglasshour.com and scroll to the bottom of the page. Press play, or you can download the TuneIn app on your smartphone and search for WMAD 24-Hour Global Radio. Give us a chance to massage those ears with some good sultry sounds with music for adults and lovers. You are now listening to WMAD 24-Hour Global Radio.
You are listening to WMAD 24-Hour Global Radio, where you can relax and listen to all genres of music every day, live talk shows, and we feature real people making a difference in the community. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend to listen to WMAD 24-Hour Global Radio, a station that's on the move in 2015. Join us. We are back broadcasting live with the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-Hour Global Radio. You'd be amazed at the text that I get as the broadcast is taking place and doing commercial breaks or whatever the case may be. And one of them messaged me back and say, "How the HELL you talking on the Facebook with me at the same time?" Well, let me just tell you, we are now living in 2015. And there is a lot of things that a man or a woman can do. You can sit at home and become an overnight success. The internet allows you to do things that our foreparents never had the opportunity to do. Carpe diem, seize the day. And that's what I'm talking about. Let's try our best to make sure that we do all we can while we can. Because when we look at the book of James, somewhere around the 13th or 14th verse, I believe it's the 4th or 5th chapter, it says, in paraphrasing, "You are a mist that appears for a little while and vanish." Simply put, you here 1 minute, the next minute, you could be gone. So tell a neighbor, tell a friend, we are on the move in 2015. You've been listening to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-Hour Global Radio. Today's topic, ReExamine Our Future. America must change. Thanks for tuning in, and may you have a wonderful day. Good night.